don't address harassment, we could be going against state law in the Dignity for All Students Act. There is also federal law that covers civil rights violations, and so it's something that's really taken very seriously in the schools, certainly in light of some of the things that have been going on around the nation we've heard too much of, as far as, it's clear to understand why the state put this into effect, given how bullying affects kids and how harassment can, make a school environment so unpleasant that it leads to some very serious consequences. So essentially, at this point, none of this can be ignored or tolerated by the school or school staff. The plain language is included in the Code of Conduct in the elementary schools. Essentially, that's the handbook, but the Code of Conduct, as I said, has been updated, and the Code of Conduct is posted on the website. Some of the things that the school district had to do, again, was to update policies. We have to deliver training programs to raise the awareness and sensitivity for the employees. We have to train all employees, not just teaching staff, bus drivers, food service workers, custodians. Everybody is responsible for getting this training. And then guidelines as to how to deal with it when it is witnessed. And so we'll talk a little bit more about these two pieces as we go through the training and the guidelines. There is a requirement that at least one employee in each school be trained as something called a Dignity Act Coordinator. And while the state did not define that very specifically, basically what they said, and you'll see it again later, it's somebody who is going to be trained in basically all areas of interhuman relations, and specifically in the areas of the harassment, and they serve as a resource person to the other staff members, including sometimes the administrator. The Dignity Act Coordinator has to be accessible to students and other employees, as it says here, for consultation and advice, and it can be somebody who is currently on staff. It's not that you have to hire a separate person to do this. So in 3 of our schools, it is the social worker who is our Dignity Act Coordinator, and in the middle school, it is the school psychologist, and it's just because of the percentage of time in the building in that case versus the others where the social workers are there more often. Again, this kind of goes into a little bit about the reasons for this and the ill effects of bullying. We have to tell anybody that there are mental health problems, physical injury, and certainly increased risk for things like substance abuse, academic problems, and violence later in life. So besides the Dignity Act Coordinator, what we are doing is the Dignity Act Coordinators, actually all social workers and psychologists, as well as all of the administrators, were trained one day this summer. The Dignity Act Coordinators will also go to training that's being sponsored by BOCES. And those people are then going to be the turnkey trainers. They will do training at faculty meetings, and they will have to train our students in what these different areas of discrimination are and how they should deal with it if they feel they're being discriminated against. Again, they named the 11 areas. And as far as curriculum goes, they want civility, citizenship, and character education to be incorporated into the K-12 curriculum. And I would say that we've probably been doing that for years. In fact, if you saw a newspaper article recently, the quote they included was that essentially what this does for us is that it mandates the things we've pretty much already been doing. Because certainly character education has been a huge focus in the elementary schools. Mr. Malkisher had bullying programs going on in the middle schools for years. The high school has had programs like Leo Club, service clubs, and peer mediation to deal with conflicts between students. So it's really just formalization of what we've done in the past. Again, it provides a personal and safe nurturing environment. This gives you some further backup as to the reason that New York State felt they needed this, and it has to do with a survey that was conducted by GLSEN, stating that more than a third of lesbian, gay, bi, and transsexual students in New York State stated that harassment, bullying, and name calling were serious problems in their school, and that this included harassment based on a person's weight, perceived physical appearance, and their actual or perceived sexual orientation. These are some resources available to the district. We'll have this presentation on the website, so if you want to go through it also. Some of these are public. This is a publication, a resource guide, and places that we can go to for assistance. We have forms that we're going to be distributing during the training to the teachers that are a report form for the person who witnesses the bullying or the harassment, and then also a form that principals have to fill out in response to the investigation, so that each building has a standardized reporting approach as well as reporting to district office in terms of what the investigation brought forth and what the outcomes were. Everybody has to fill out the same paperwork so that we have consistent information from each building on each instance of harassment that is reported. Questions?
One question. Is there an extra cost for that? Is there a
No.
stipend or is part of the?
Essentially, it's what these people do anyway. I mean, they are trained to deal with interpersonal aspects of school, social, emotional, and so, we provide the training. I mean, I guess if anything, it would be the training piece, but, we have always sent these staff out to trainings and this sort of thing anyway, as far as, climate and school safety and peer mediation and those sorts of things. And it's really a minimum cost because BOSI's, it's not a very expensive program when you go there for a workshop.
Anyone else?
The reporting of something that's been witnessed, I'm assuming is confidential.
It depends, I guess, in terms of when the principal investigates. Sometimes he or she would have to get permission to investigate further. Sometimes you would have to, reveal some information. But I would say that certainly the reporter would be aware of that and would give the consent at that point to investigate. The interesting thing, however, is that the staff really is responsible for handling harassment, even if no one makes a complaint about it. So if somebody sees that a student, was called fatso, and the kid never says anything, never comes, never complains, never tells his parents, and the parents never complain, if a staff member saw that or heard that, and ultimately down the road didn't report it, and it came out later on, the school could be culpable. So in that respect, it's hard sometimes to keep some of it confidential because you might have to investigate something even if the students and the parents are not looking for that remedy.
Well, I'm not so much saying a teacher, or a peer.
Again, we try as much as possible to make it confidential. That's why at the middle school, they have an online reporting system through the website that goes directly to the principal. And Mr. Malkisher is also trained in the bullying, anti-bullying prevention, and will be doing that training for teachers and staff this year. But, a principal maybe can describe better how they would handle a bullying report when the parent or the child says, don't tell them I said. I mean, there are generally ways around it. Sometimes you have no choice. But, you could say someone else reported it, you could say somebody, else saw it. Do you want to add anything to that?
That's exactly what we try to do. Because kids are intimidated by the people that other kids are bullying them. So the last thing they want to do is bring more attention to themselves. So we try to set it up so that it's an adult that's reporting it, not that child or that child's parents.
qualified, and Steve has volunteered to do that at the high school. It's called Talk About It, and you'll be hearing more information as he gets it set up. Right now, we've got the software, but he has to put the protocols into place, which includes who gets the messages and how they're going to handle them. But essentially, it's a way of helping kids to have one more level of communication that doesn't have to be face-to-face if it's something they're uncomfortable talking about. At least initially, they can break the ice that way, and it's anonymous.
So, like, child abuse is a required reporting, even suspected. Does this have any required reporting? And then as a second after that, you came up with a good example that was not, a simple thing. Obviously not something we want to know. How much do you have to document? So you have to document that I counsel so-and-so on only so-and-so age.
Yes. You have to document it. Unlike child abuse, though, they haven't specifically said that they would take away your certification or your license, which is a part of child abuse prevention. But they basically have simply said without consequence defined that everybody is responsible for intervening and reporting, and that's the expectation without saying what would happen if they didn't.
And that report would go to the coordinator.
Principal. Principal will handle all of the investigations and things like that. The coordinator is more a resource person in terms of maybe if it's a delicate situation, how to handle the situation. Might help teachers understand whether something really is harassment or bullying. You know, it's more like an advisory piece. And then the administrator is still the one who handles the investigation and takes whatever disciplinary action is necessary.
So, code of conduct was last updated in February.
No, it was done this summer.
It was done again this summer. Who's involved in updating it to comply with the new?
That was just the attorneys, basically. It was just a matter of taking it and putting in the language needed to make it legal for the law.
Because I had read that the code of conduct and amendments, now they have to be adopted by the board again.
They were.
They were, and they're supposed to be a public hearing, so were they made available?
They're always available online.
Okay. Even after the amendments and?
Well, there are two readings.
Okay. And as far as the regulations, regulations will be developed for reporting, investigating, and remedying the allegations of discrimination. The regulations, are those the reporting forms that you referred to?
Yes. And then we also have compliance officers at a higher level.
That was my other
Appointed.
question, was what was the difference between?
Essentially, if it's a higher level of concern, you know, if the principal handles it and there are still concerns, or if it seems to be bigger than the building, if there are bigger issues, then we have two compliance officers. One is Steve Malkisher, the other is Jill Berkowitz. And they would take it to that next level of investigation. This last piece is very quick, and then we'll, I guess, do the public participation, and then after that, do the cake. But we did start a tradition several years ago of inviting our new staff here this evening, along with the teachers who received tenure last year. And we would like to begin by asking each of the people that I call on who received tenure as of September 1st this year to please stand. We have Serge Young from the middle school technology teacher. We have Bassett, who is an AIS reading teacher. Sarah Burns, middle school. Kristen Tiano, special education. staff members, not too many this year. We'll start with our new school nurse at Nassau, Louise Tryon. Our new ESL teacher at Nassau, Colleen Connors. And a new science teacher at the high school, Will Gunter. Is there anybody here that you can see that's a new staff member that I may have missed? Okay. So we congratulate all of you, some for having met the success to become tenure here, and some for meeting the stringent interview requirements that our principals put you through to get the job in the first place. And we wish you all the best of success as you either continue or begin your careers here in Spackenkill. And in a little while, we will break and celebrate your success with coffee and cake.
Okay, comments to the board. Please step up to the microphone, state your name, and give you approximately 3 minutes.
Hello, hi, my name is Julie Curry Ciardi. First of all, I want to thank you very much for all the hard work you're doing. It's really great. Very happy, so happy about that. But I am actually here on behalf of my children, who actually personally asked me to come tonight on their behalf. I know we were all here many times talking about transportation and how difficult we thought it would be. Unfortunately, for many people, it is a problem. I know you were talking about that a little bit earlier on the agenda. But I personally actually emailed all of you a bit earlier today. But I wanted to also publicly discuss it because we were talking about the school menu and health and all of that. But, you know, we know that the activities are ending at 2:45. My kids aren't getting home until 3:45 or later. That's about over an hour of idle, non-learning, non-productive time. My son eats lunch, he's 7, at 11:30. So he is not eating for over 4 hours by the time he gets home. Both of my children have gotten off the bus crying for the last 4 days. I've waited, hopefully as time goes by it will get better. It has gotten a couple of minutes better each day. And so I just ask if there's anything that can be done. My daughter's stressed, she can't get to swimming, she can't do her homework in time, and I just don't think that's a good environment for these children. We live 3 minutes from the school, and it's taking them over an hour to get home, time from the school ends. So I really appreciate it if you guys really take a hard look, because it is affecting these kids' health. They're hungry, they're tired, and they have very little time after school to get homework and activities done. So I appreciate any help you can give.
You said you sent an email earlier.
I sent it
Okay,
to all of you.
that's wonderful.
Good evening, Dave Webster. My son is also getting out of school at 2:45, and he's arriving home at 3:45 or later. And I've heard people saying that improvements are needed, but I'm not sure I understand what metric we're measuring success by. What is an acceptable time to arrive in my house? That way we know we've improved.
I would say there are a couple of different things in play. One issue that Ms. Curry brought up was that the day ends at 2:45. It's not that the child is on the bus for an hour, but there's still that impact of having the idle time and not having the food. You know, we were looking at it from the perspective of the dismissals, and the bus runs in no more than 35 minutes 35 minutes in this district may be bad.
It is
In other
bad. You're
places,
right.
there are
It needs to be improved. It's
hours.
not acceptable.
I think the board really has to make that determination as to what you want to do there. I mean, we could add bus runs and certainly it would reduce that time frame. But when we made the presentations, we were talking of bus runs from 20 to 35 minutes, and the board accepted that.
I didn't. So as part of this, my wife and I decided in the first few days to ride the bus and just see how bad it is, and it was pretty bad. And so at this point, we decided to take them off the bus, so your metrics should improve and overall getting people on the bus, and you may see a bump there, but that's not a real improvement, it's just people giving up on and waiting for the dust to settle, and then you kind of making changes that need to be made, that we all know need to be made, but we haven't identified them yet. So your metrics may change, but that's due to parents driving their children. So you should be aware of that. Is 35 minutes acceptable? Have you guys ridden a school bus for 35 minutes without air conditioning for a mile and a half? Okay.
You know how I feel about it, so there's no point in me answering.
Good evening, George Hibbert, 190 Drive. Basically, I have a reasonably good news report. This is our 18th year in the district and the 13th year of using being members of the Spackenkill School Committee, School in the district. First, my son is safely at college. Spackenkill is doing very well. Northeastern has accepted all of the classes for which you receive scores of 4 or 5. So it's a significant benefit. I know right now a lot of people are concerned about their interest in kids as we still have water and so, buses that we recognize that's so the university is a good match for him, and the skills that he gained in this district are certainly well. Second, my daughter, who's now entered the 10th grade, she'll deny I ever said this, but she seems to be enjoying chemistry. She's passionate about the cheerleading team, so as we start to head into the budget discussions, we all have our favorites. I just want to emphasize that there are people who enjoy that very much. And her likely challenges with French will remain ahead of us, so we're working on that. Lastly, my daughter, who's in the 5th grade, she's very excited about being in Mr. Simmons' class. And he has an excellent reputation as to virtually all of our Spackenkill teachers. And I do want to note that she is experiencing the combination of Nassau and Hagen former students together. And she said that in general people are getting together well. She is noting that at recess they're still congregating amongst their more than peers. So hopefully that will improve over time. And then one piece of feedback on testing. Fourth graders are subjected to significant state testing. We saw excellent correlation with the science testing with their 4th grade testing. However, as Ms. Berkowitz had warned us, the state was significantly harder for reading and math, and correspondingly, her scores took a nosy dive, even though her scores in class remained down. So some feedback to you guys later. And then lastly, in terms of bus service, we've never received bus service. We've always had to drive our kids, except for taught. We need distance requirements for that. And at Hagen, I'm happy to report that so far, in the morning, there's actually a much improved situation for traffic. We feel it's a lot safer in the morning currently. And in the afternoon, my daughter walks home, and again, things have gone reasonably well. So our personal observations in that regard. And then lastly, we're very pleased that for the 2 new principal positions that the district was able to promote within Mr. Knockersher and Mr. Murphy. Congratulations. That will they're very capable, so overall, I think the district is from our perspective, off to a good start this year.
My name's Matthew Daly, I'm on the 6-man staff. I have a 6-year-old first grader and an 8-year-old third grader. About a week or so before school started, we received our letters in the mail with bus routes, indicating that both of our children would be picked up at 7:59 on the same route in the morning. In the afternoon, they would be to ride different routes. My third grader was supposed to be home at 3:08. My first grader was supposed to be home at 3:29. First day of school, let me back up. The Friday before, the long holiday before school started, we received a phone message indicating that there's been a change to the route. My children would be riding a minibus and be picked up at 8:10 in the morning. Sounds pretty simple. However, there was no mention of anything in the afternoon. My son did not get home until 3:30. My daughter, who's 6, did not get home until almost 4:30. This is completely unacceptable. There was no mention in any message regarding any change to the afternoon, but we were told that my daughter got on the wrong bus. This kind of stuff was not supposed to happen. I don't see how it is in any way acceptable for a 6-year-old to be getting home over an hour and a half after school is dismissed. Okay? I would also like to suggest the school has a nice little technology available to us where I get all these little messages, okay, about plays happening and all sorts of things. If the buses are not leaving until a time when most kids should be getting home, I would suggest it would be a little useful to send a nice little text message out to the parents so they're not wondering where their children are. And I think you guys really need to look at what's going on with the transportation and make some serious adjustments, because my first grader did not want to ride the bus anymore. She got off the bus hot, sweaty, at 4:30. Does not want to ride the bus. Now, I have to have my child care pick up my first grader from Nassau and get back in time to get my third grader off the bus. He's supposed to be off at 3:08. He's getting off at about 3 o'clock, which poses some challenges for that person to get back and meet my son off the bus. I think you guys really need to look at what's going on with that and make some adjustments, because my daughter cannot be riding the bus until this gets straightened out.
My name is Nadia De Laurentiis. I'm at 22 Old Farms Road. I have triplets in first grade, and I have a son who is in 5th grade. Same situation, I can reiterate pretty much what he's saying. My daughters are coming home from Nassau after 4 o'clock. I commute now an hour to where I work near West Point, and there are days where I'm getting home before my kids, and I may leave my building at 3. So I'm very concerned. My daughters are really not having the bus, but they don't have a choice to have a babysitter drive them because there's 3 of them, and her car does not accommodate 3. So we're stuck until this bus route number 3 in the afternoon. It's bus route number 3 in the afternoon. I don't really know if there's concerns with the morning route. And so my question is, why are there different routes in the morning and the afternoon? I never understood that to begin with, because I think looking at the morning route didn't seem to be a problem as much, and it's great because my son and my daughters are on the bus together, which is what I had always hoped for. But then coming home, it's just, he's getting home, it is an unacceptable time. He's getting home even 3:30 for being so close to Hagen is kind of unacceptable, but I understand there's lots of stops. He can, this year with the end of the route, last year with the beginning of the route. So he used to get dropped off at 3:05, now he's getting dropped off at 3:30. Okay, I can accept that perhaps, but an hour and 10 minutes for my daughter to get home from Nassau, I just can't accept that. It's breaking my heart, and it's really something that has to be resolved, because we don't have another option. We have to have our kids use the transportation. And I don't think I should have to resort to driving my kids, or having my teachers drive my kids if we're within that radius. So if anything can be done, like I said, bus route 3, it's bus route 8 in the morning. I just looked at the route 3 and it looked really long. I don't even understand why this bus is driving all through Nassau neighborhoods, dropping off kids there, then coming all the way over to Hagen, dropping off kids there, and we're at the very end of it, tail end of the route. It just is too many stops. It can't. I picture myself driving that, so yeah, I can see why it's taking so long. So anything that can be done, I beg you, really. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nadine Ryan, and I am at 244 Wilbur. And first of all, let me just say that I started out being very optimistic, and I think it's a huge missed opportunity that this transportation has been on so much the first few days. Because given the fact that this was the biggest concern that a lot of parents had going into the whole GLS, I would have thought that the care would have been taken to make sure that this was flawlessly executed. So, in my mind, that shows the perception, as you used that word before, is really not good in the parents' eyes. I'm also on Route 3, and there are a few things that I've observed. One is, this is my 8th year in the district, and I've always used the bus. Never experienced these kinds of delays before. I don't know what's so different this year, that why we're seeing such huge delays. And the kids that are the most affected are the younger ones, the kindergartners and the first graders, which is really completely unacceptable. The other thing that I've noted is, in the past, we've had a bus route. So the kids who went on the buses first were also the first ones dropped off in the afternoon. That's not the case anymore. The kids that are picked up first are the last ones being dropped off. So some kids are at such a disadvantage, they're on the bus for 20 minutes more than the kids at the end of the bus route, which is just not fair. So some families are greatly affected, even more so than others. So I don't think it's just a matter of giving it a few days for the kids to figure out how to put their feet in the aisles of the buses. I think you're diminishing what the real issue is, and I don't think we should keep waiting any more time to try to figure out what needs to be done.
So I just have one question. Do you happen to know what bus group that was that your child was on? Yes, I'm sorry.
No, I don't.
No, okay, I was just wondering if it had to be bus group 3. I was looking for a common denominator, but.
They were supposed to have been, and I can tell you they were supposed to. They were supposed to be on Route 8 in the morning, and my daughter was supposed to be on Route 3 in the afternoon. But I was not told in the phone message anything about the afternoon. I just told them to pick up the United Kingdom.
And I never received such a message about a minibus or launch.
So I still don't know what the route is supposed to be.
Well, the whole route might not have the minibus change, but in any case, that answered my question. Great, thank you. All right, next.
Jennifer Schneid, 14 Bird Lane. My younger daughter is on bus group 3. I can tell you the earliest she has come home, it's about 3:45. She's scheduled for a 3:26 arrival at my home. I have to rush out of work to meet my walker at Hagen, who's in 3rd grade. I'm rushing home to make sure I'm there in the bus, because I will be there early. Not because the bus will be early and I'm not there. So I'm at home waiting and waiting and waiting for my other daughter to come home. Meanwhile, it's not enough time to get my older daughter started on her homework. And, I don't really want to sit her down and have a snack and do her snack time again. My other daughter comes home because she's starting by the time she gets home. It's really, really difficult to have children in both schools to manage this when the bus route times are off so bad. Now, I've observed a couple of things in the afternoon. The kids, the first day, were all standing on the bus, and I emailed everyone about this, telling the bus driver where to stop, which is ridiculous. There were only first graders on that bus at that point, because kindergartners were not on the bus yet, and we're on the Hagen side, so all the Nassau kids are already off the bus. Just first graders, telling the bus driver where to go. My daughter had the bus driver stop at my house. She's not even scheduled to stop. It's at at the corner. So now I'm confused, where is my stop? Are they gonna stop at my house every day, or are they gonna go to the corner? It's been different every day. I wanna know when is gonna be a reasonable time that you're gonna put a stake in the ground and say, this is gonna be her arrival time at home, so that I can plan my day better, and then I can decide if I think that time is acceptable, and I want to then will come and want to find a way to take my child off that bus. Because you see, when you have children split between the schools, especially with one walker, you have no choice. You cannot go and pick up one child. I have to be at Hayden to pick up my walker. It's not fair that I don't even have a choice to just, right now I don't want my daughter on the bus because of these issues. I want to know when I'm going to be able to really make a decision and come to you and say, what can you do for me so that I can pick up my child and not put her on this bus anymore? I think it's a fair question. The bus route's not getting, it's not getting any earlier. It's nowhere near 3:26. I think we have a better idea by Friday, but Barry, I mean, something happens with weather, and something happens with something else. So, like you say, usually, I think John and I will say, usually by the end of the first full week of school, it's pretty much the same. Is that correct? The weather's supposed to be good all week, so, by Friday, I should be home at 3:45, we'll be hearing.
I have a comment and a couple questions. The bus schedules have always been presented in such a way that it appears the students are on the bus and moving by 3 o'clock. And I think that's just possibly part of the problem where expectations are set and not being met. If the students aren't even loading until after 3 o'clock, they're clearly not going to be coming home at the time that they've been set. So those times need to be adjusted, should have been adjusted before the times went out. If there is a gap between the walkers leaving and the bus students dismissing, perhaps we need to move the bus dismissal before 3 o'clock, so that these kids are on the bus and moving at 3 o'clock. Have been some minibus runs added. I would like to know why they were added. There's one in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. And I'd like to know the cost of those runs, and would it have made more sense to add a full large bus run and perhaps alleviate some of the other longer routes that children are experiencing? And my final question is, were iPads purchased for any of the teachers in the district or any of the district staff for this year?
It wasn't in the technology budget, but there may have been iPads purchased on a building level.
For speech and notation.
At the high school? Were there any purchases at the high school?
Not since I've been there, but I can tell you since I was at college.
Are teachers permitted to use their personal equipment to access school records? Because there are teachers at the high school taking attendance on iPads.
No, you can respawn without that. I'm not aware of that, but I don't know why that was purchased for high school recently. None for college.
If I could maybe get feel free to email me. I would like an overall answer, an overall view of the district. And if any were purchased, I'd like to know how much it costs and what is the purpose of these, how it's going to assist the students. And that's it.
The first step said they were taking attendance on the iPads.
I have a few questions. We talked about a building utilization study last meeting, correct? That was talked about at a retreat. A retreat does not include a long-range planning for when is all that information going to be disclosed? What was discussed at that retreat?
I emailed the agenda, but we didn't take minutes or anything, so I can certainly email the agenda.
So just so you're aware that in future reference, that was in violation. The parking lot, the handicap parking lot and stuff that NASA that was moved and parking spots, how much did that cost? What was that cost to our district? Changes to the parking lot at NASA?
For the additional handicap spot?
Yeah, we said that something was moved, like the parking
We
spots
just
were
had
moved back.
No, I think that's not what she's asking. She's asking about the paving work.
Yes.
I can send that over, I believe. In the presentation that we did, it was estimated around 19.5, and I believe that's what it came in on. And that was through the grant that we had talked about, and we got a grant made at the end of the year to do that.
And we didn't go over?
Absolutely not.
Okay. And how many new entrants are there at Hagen? How many new enrollees do we have in each of the elementary
I got a
schools?
sheet, we got a sheet on enrollment.
You don't have new enrollment, just the actual numbers. As of last Wednesday, kindergarten had 100 students, first grade 104, and at Nassau, there were 45 second graders. And the second graders, just so you know, at Hagen, ended up at Hagen's total 104 as well. When you add the two together, the full complement of second graders.
Okay. And then what's third, fourth, and fifth? Did we get more?
Third was 112, fourth 106, fifth 96.
Thank you. It bothers me that our expectations in this school district on the transportation issue is that we expect less than mediocrity at the beginning of every year. To me, that's unacceptable. You don't start and say, oh, well, we can't, we expect all these problems at the beginning of a year. You expect with high expectations, we meet them. And the transportation is so ridiculous because these problems were identified by the community long before we even engaged in any of this. It's ridiculous to me what I'm hearing out here by people. A transportation bus letter came out to me to tell my kid was a walker. Had a whole transportation guidelines written out that I was supposed to have him at my bus stop 10 minutes before it's bus time, and on and on and on. He's a walker. And eventually it came down to he's a walker. I'm trying to figure that out a long time ago. He's a junior now. I can't believe we wasted taxpayer money to send that out to people. Everybody in a mile radius of the high school got that letter. I understand the Board of Ed is establishing committees, has the right to do a committee. I think that's one of your new agenda items. Do you have a new policy in place? Yes? No? Okay.
Yes.
Yes, thank you,
It
Joe.
hasn't been,
It's not in place.
it's not in
Being
place
reviewed.
yet, yes.
Okay. Right now, it says that the board can overturn whatever the committee decides. To me, that shows you have no faith in the intelligence of our community. You either put a community together and assume that they will come out with a reasonable result, or you don't put it together at all. Now, if there's caveats you have to put in place, like, 400 boilers broken, 4 schools and all hell broke loose, we can't really implement this little change, I get that. So you should have caveats, but you shouldn't just have a blanket statement if the board can just do what it wants, because otherwise there's just no point in putting the committee together to begin with. I do want to thank you for updating the handbook. Oh my God, I've been reading the same handbook since kindergarten and by junior, so that was exciting. But what is in place to get comments to somebody with more corrections? Okay. Because it would be great if by the time my kids graduate, it was A+ work. That would be so good. And then the only other question I had is we talked tonight about the policies that are written, and you said that they were on the website. When it's the first reading of a policy, generally I cannot ever find it. It's only when it's the second reading and somebody really goes looking for it at times. Sometimes it's on the website. But it does not seem to be as easy to find, especially the first readings. All right, thank you.
That's like 1 o'clock today, the first readings were not on the, we're not on the website.
one comment, and if you would just hold off 1 second before you step up, I want to make sure everybody has had a chance to speak before we do any repeats. Generally, we are avoiding that when possible, but we'll see what time it turns out to be. The question, my own perspective on committees and the board. The board basically are the people that are elected to make the decision. The committee and every committee we've had, and you served on one, has been told up front that if you are recommending to the board, so the board can take all, some, or none. Hopefully, if the board were to reject it, I would hope they would come back with the reasoning. Maybe they feel it's too expensive still, maybe it isn't encompassing enough. They may redirect the committee and ask them to look at a different angle or something like that. So, to me, the board shouldn't give away the board's authority to a committee.
That might have, I don't guess what I have.
To
And
do
you
some
also said,
legwork, to get some input from individuals that may have more at stake on that committee, maybe a more grassroots approach. Lots of reasons to have them, but it doesn't necessarily, you just can't bind the board in a way that would say, yeah, whatever the committee recommends, we're going to go for. I don't feel that.
it also reads that you could have a specific charter. So it doesn't give the committee any autonomy to decide for itself how, are we going to have unanimous vote? Are we going to look at this, or this? It seems like it's being tunneled into, we want this answer, and we are going to find a committee that will get us this answer. If we don't, oh well, we can turn it over.
I think in the past, the committees we've had have functioned fairly well. You've been on one. I don't think they were overly governed by any part of the board and or the administration.
But you did overturn the grade level school committee that came back and said, don't do it.
Well, with one caveat, and that was they said it was a benefit, they just couldn't get the benefit outweighed, was enough benefit to go for it. We eventually disagreed when the cost of it. I see somebody back there who hasn't spoken yet, so if you could. Thanks.
Good evening, Jennifer Hayden, 46 Spackenkill Road. First and foremost, I personally would like to thank all of our teachers and staff in Copay and Nassau and the TAs and every one of them that has made this transition from the end of last year to the beginning of this year the success that it is in my eyes. Because if it wasn't for our two principals and their staff, I do not feel that what you voted in and what you have executed would be as successful as it is if it had not been for them. And our children, the only benefits that they have are these staff that are hands-on with them every day. And so while you can sit here and make your decisions because of economics and what looks good on paper, these are the people that are tending to whatever benefits or negatives are imposed upon our youngest. And I personally appreciate everything that principals and staff have done, and I think that they should be shown a lot of appreciation from our administration right now, what's gone on, especially in the last week. I too received a phone call Friday before school started at 1:30 in the afternoon, and that was that there was a change to my first graders' transportation schedule to please call the office. Office closes at 4:30. I didn't receive the message till 5:30. That was the only information given. Monday morning, I received a message that Nathaniel's transportation would be changed to a minibus. If I had any questions, to contact the office. So I now do not know whether it's morning or afternoon. I'm assuming it's afternoon because I have a fourth grader, Jake, and they did not mention him. So after a series of phone calls, and I've spoken to Michelle about this, I am then informed that I should now put on his security tag minibus because he will be on a minibus in the afternoon, as I assumed. I then asked, what should I label his tag? Because that's my only security that the child gets on the correct bus to come home at 6 years old. minibus. Michelle was kind enough to contact me that evening. She would clarify that it would be minibus Raker Road. I asked her specifically, was there only one minibus? Yes, Mrs. Payton, there was only one minibus. Other than that, there was a special ed bus. Long story short is my child arrived home safely the first day of school, but not without being placed on the wrong bus first. So regardless that his tag said minibus Raker Road, as directed by the person who created the bus routes or was instrumental in it, he was still placed on the wrong bus because there were 3 minibuses at Nassau the first day of school. So from when the conversation was had at 8 p.m. until the next afternoon, what I was told as a parent, that I felt very, very confident that, okay, this is going to be fine. There's one minibus. I don't care what bus he goes on. If it means another child gets on sooner, I'm at the beginning of Spackenkill Road. He will be one of the first drop-offs regardless of what bus he's on. So I don't care. I just need to know where he is and what to label his tag so anyone else knows where to send him. I was a fortunate parent. One of the teachers caught it, or a TA caught it, someone caught it and directed him to the correct bus. How, when you are assured by administration, directing you what a change is 12 hours before school starts, that you are following the exact instructions and they are still not followed with a tag on a child is beyond me. And for the rest of these parents that are sitting there for an hour with first graders on buses that I'm told the windows are not open, that is common sense. We do not need to be told at the beginning of the school year there's transition, and so it will take longer. Bus drivers should know if it's over 85, 90 degrees, open the windows if the child is on the bus for more than 5 or 10 minutes. That has nothing to do with early year transition or bus routes or, GLS. These are unacceptable conditions. These children are on the bus an extra 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes in the afternoon. We're talking about kindergartners and first graders on the bus for an extra hour a day. Why there are 5 children on my son's bus to come home and other children on a bus for an hour and a half is obscene to me. And I'm benefiting. My children are within reason. My children are arriving home between 16 minutes to 22 minutes after the 3 o'clock supposed departure. But this is not acceptable on the whole as to the quality for all of these children. My other question is how, when a child in first grade the buses are still getting to the elementary school anywhere from 8:40, 8:42, 8:43. Their specials start at 8:45. I was shocked when they came home the first day of school that their specials begin at 8:45. Even if they get dropped off at the school at 8:40 or 8:38, that is 7 minutes for a first grader to get to their locker, which is a new routine, into a classroom and to a special with minimal time that does not. If the weather is bad, if it is raining, if it is icy, if a child is delayed walking down a driveway, how does that really work on the whole for the whole year? Or are these bus routes going to speed up so much that they will get there so early that they will have a good 10 minutes to transition into their classrooms? Honestly, I really would like a reasonable answer how within 12 hours we go from we have 1 minibus to 3. And that is why the staff did not know which bus the child should be on. None of the buses were labeled.
There was not a late bus added.
Minibuses.
Right, a minibus. There was not a bus added. There were 2 minibuses and 1 special needs minibus that were going into Nassau. That's been there, going there the whole time.
When I asked you specifically, there is only 1 bus. You told me there is only 1 bus. Label his tag, minibus, Raker Road, there's a special ed bus. How could he have physically been put on bus number 2?
I can't answer how he was put on that bus. If his tag said Raker Road minibus, I don't know. I wasn't there.
I was under the impression that it was very clear there was not a label on the minibus. There were bus numbers on the large buses. Other parents are under the impression you were there the first day of school because that was our reassurance that administration was helping oversee it, which confused the rest of us all that much more. Because if any administration was there at departure from NASA the first day of school, knowing that there were changes told to parents 12 hours prior to school starting, If it meant that extra staff from any office had to have a list of, we called this parent yesterday, this parent, and this parent, they were all left messages. Retrieve those children in a line, put them on the bus, the parent was left. What you did to the employee, leaving those messages, was a sin. That poor woman was leaving these random messages of, your child gets on a minibus, no afternoon, no morning. The phone calls she had to field was not necessary. It could have been, they will be on this bus at this time in the afternoon. I mean, this is not acceptable. I don't care if it's the beginning of the school year. I don't care if it's Spackenkill. That's just not good practice, period. And we're talking about small children. We're not talking about adults. We're talking about little children. And this is the best that Spackenkill can come up with. Honestly, we all feel like we're in the Twilight Zone. What do we do?
I think the answer is,
What do we do?
we'll be monitoring, and yes, we would like to see the buses get there earlier, so we'll take a look at that. For me, my own personal opinion, and I don't mean just as an aside, that has not directly anything to do with yours, but previous on this bus 3, is there anybody out there that has any student with a bus 2 or a bus 1 out of Nashville? Any time frame wise, has it been?
Horrible. After 4, my daughter was left on a bus last week on Friday. The bus driver apparently stated that we were not there to pick her up at the correct time, which was changed without my notice, from a 3:38 to a 3:12, and then dropped her off at Hagen, just kept her on the bus for 40 minutes with a bus driver that I don't know. So I'm not happy.
So, I'm just looking to try and see if bus 3 is one of the common denominators, because several people spoke on that. Okay, thank you. So that's just one of the 5 reasons for that. But I think we'll continue to refine from issues. If you find anything else, anything different that's occurring that hasn't in the past, please get to the district so we have something to work with. And I agree, I don't think, an hour on a school bus is acceptable. 35 minutes, I think is much more reasonable. Somebody's going to be first off and first on, and somebody's going to be last off and last on. And the ones, some are going to be a little bit luckier than others with the amount of time on a school bus. The school buses, especially the full buses, accommodate a lot of children. So it does take a little bit of time to get them on and off. So when you're the first or the last, there's going to be a difference in the amount of time it takes. But it still needs, the last person, it needs to be a reasonable time. And I think we need to work on that and make sure that it happens. And we'll see what happens. And the first one I want to look at is the bus 3, in my opinion, to see what's up there and see what's happening there, because that seems to be the biggest deviation from the norm. There were some instances, one instance was just a student had an issue with the bus, which delayed all buses 1 day leaving. It's unfortunate, but it did put several minutes on to that particular day. Actually, quite a few minutes onto that particular day. Hope it hasn't happened since. That's a good thing. But those things do occur. It's unfortunate it did, but it does. A person brought up a very good point about notifications. So if there's something we know that is going to be happening for whatever reason, because sometimes it may be on an earlier bus. If a bus from the first dismissing school, being the secondary schools, is tied up for a period of time, there's, maybe we can get it solidified so we have the notifications for the parents on that bus done by bus route, and then we can quickly notify them via that. I think that's a reasonable attempt to try and hit when the hiccups do happen, because in busing, hiccups are going to happen. There's going to be an accident on 9 and something, and the bus is going to be caught in traffic. It's just going to happen. But if it's a something more than 5 or 10 minutes, maybe we can